Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is that time again. Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. It is not Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. Tommy Wortz in for Sparky, still joined by the always amazing, the always beautiful Mr. Charles Uczen. Charlie, how we doing?
I'm doing all right.
It's like
beautiful is very kind. I don't get beautiful very often.
I don't know if Sparky's ever said the word beautiful and either of our names in the same sentence ever. So I try to
calls
give
us ugly trolls or something
trolls.
like that. Yeah.
Trolls is probably the number one word used in a sentence with Sparky talking about me and Charlie. It's a little bit of like getting you ready for the weekend, Wisconsin Sports Daily edition. The former weekend crew, we don't get to work together as often as I would like to, but obviously me and Charlie, we got it hanging that down for you here for the next 3 hours. Awesome show planned for you guys here. It's going to be very Brewers and Packers heavy. The Brewers, so rude of them to just take up our whole week worth of content to have us continue to have to talk about this team after all of this. So we're going to give the Packers some love because there is a Packer game this weekend as well. Don't forget Green Bay football post-game show. It will be me and Mitch Thunder Nellis this week immediately after that game goes final. But we're going to kick things off here. While we have all the same Packer stuff, we'll have the green and gold update. Matt LaFleur talked for a little bit today. We will have Javon Alford, our guy over at Dairyland Express, on at the top of the 3 o'clock hour. We got to start with the Milwaukee Brewers. We have to. They're obligated right now to take all of our time on Sports Talk Radio. And yesterday, what a dumpster fire. I mean, are you kidding me? Again. The first inning is my least favorite inning of a baseball game now, Charlie. I just can't even get past it. I can't get past it. The first inning has been a problem until yesterday for both teams, but now specifically the Milwaukee Brewers. And Game 5, that's how Game 4 has me feeling. Just Game 5. I don't even want to break it all down. If you want to join the show, Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250. Call in, complain about Game 4 if you would like, but I want to open it up. Let's just get right into Game 5. We got to talk about it. What is one managerial move you would make if you were Murph in Game 5? Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250. I was talking about this with Charlie before the show, and the way I really was trying to get this to is who would you start in Game 5 as the pitching matchup. But I also think that we can open this up. If there's something you would feel like is a bigger deal, talk about one thing you would do specifically in Game 5. Right now, Charlie, I don't know where you're at. I got about 30% chance the Brewers win that game.
That's kind of how I'm feeling, which is kind of crazy. I was feeling pretty confident for this Brewers team throughout the majority of the season. Even when it felt like they were struggling through the beginning part of the season, I felt like they were going to come back and make it at least a 500 team.
Sure.
And then after the All-Star break, it was just straight confidence for the squad no matter what happened for them. It would be down 5-0 in the first 3 innings. You're like, oh, they're coming back. Or if they lose this game, don't worry, they're going to win the next 2 against the same team. This is the first time in a really long time with this Brewers team that I don't feel confident at all in this last game just because there's no momentum going anywhere for this Brewers team. You've seen the steady climb and now the steady decline. It's kind of crazy.
So if you are talking about the managerial move that you would make, I the lineup the last couple of games, everyone upset about the lineup. No one happy with what's happening because the lineup, let's just call it what it is, lost the last 2 games. No one's happy with it. The lineup the first 2 days were awesome because they won the first 2 games with that lineup. The managerial move that I would make, where I go first, it's the starting pitching. And I think that this is an almost easy choice for me. Jose Quintana should start game 5. Why I believe Jose Quintana should start game 5. I'm done throwing righties in the first inning. I'm done with it. You want me to say it? I'm scared of Michael Busch. I'm scared. And Ian Happ as well continued to do his thing off Freddie Peralta yesterday with the 3-run bomb. Game was over in inning 1. It was over. It was done. I watched the rest of it knowing that I was going to be upset for the entire game after that point. But you have to at least give an effort in game 5. And everyone retweeting all of the stuff about last time the Brewers blew a 2-0 lead in the NLDS. It was 2011 and Nyjer Morgan hits the walk-off against the Arizona Diamondbacks. I don't know. I don't have that level of faith right now in this team. But I think the best effort that you can make in a managerial move would be starting Jose Quintana in game 4. I want to see a lefty. I want to see if the Cubs make that chess match move where they're not going to play Michael Busch or at least give him 2 less competitive at-bats against the lefty. Ian Happ is worse from the right side than he is from the left side. Keep the ball low if Seiya Suzuki's up to bat. That's all I can think of, Charlie. That's my managerial move. If I could make one move, I am starting Jose Quintana in game 5.
Well, it's nice to hear that other Brewers fans still have some confidence in this, basing it off of history going back to 2011. That was a really fun team. That's the team that I always go back to whenever I think of the prime Brewers. That's the squad I grew up with. That's the one that I always think this team reminds me of now as well. And with this Milwaukee Brewers team, I think the one thing you need to focus on with them here is something that I feel like they haven't really focused on. And then that's the guys that have made the biggest differences throughout the majority of this season. Those young players, those rookies that you've relied on. I think there's some part of me that wants Isaac Collins to get a chance in this game. I don't know how you get him out on the field. I don't know if you just get him in like a pinch hit role. If you find a way to rotate him into the outfield somewhere, I feel like he's somebody that needs to get a shot in this game. And then when you're talking about the starting pitching, you bring up Jose Quintana, I bring up Jacob Mizorowski. And I said this before the playoffs even started. And I feel like this is something that kind of feels like a Pat Murphy style move where this kid, Jacob Mizorowski, seems to not really, I would say, buckle under pressure. He's very nonchalant, which I think is what all the kids are using nowadays to say how they are. But he goes into games and has this mentality that it is just a baseball game and that this is a moment where I don't need to take it as seriously as I think some other people need to. And I know he knows it's the playoffs, but at the same time, he's going to go into that playoff game, a game 5 at home with just this mentality that this fan base loves me and that it is just a baseball game. He's going to go in with this kind of calm demeanor that I don't know a lot of other people are going into that same situation with. So I think in a game like this, you need to rely on those young players that have helped get you to this point right now and trust them as real baseball players. Stop calling them the underdogs. I know Sparky's been mad about Pat Murphy calling them the underdogs for a while now. And I was kind of like, well, they are. But at some point here, you do have to get past that. And you have to trust that these guys are going to make a big difference in big games because they are your future, but they are also your now.
It is Wisconsin Sports Daily talking about one managerial move you would make for game 5 tomorrow for the Brewers Cubs. And Charlie brings up the point of Jacob Mizorowski being the guy to start the game. I think all signs point to it's going to be one of those two guys, but both not used yesterday. Quintana being the lefty. Miz didn't pitch in Chicago at all, right? He wasn't there in game 3 either. So he will be used at some point, at least in tomorrow's game, I would assume. But I opened this topic up as to one managerial move you would make if you were Pat Murphy in game 5, because I have to come to grips with something. I have to say that one of my guys that I've been pulling for since he's been a member of the Milwaukee Brewers, this season, he had a phenomenal breakout year, Bryce Terang. I'm sorry. You got to move him down in the order. He can't be batting 3rd. He can't be batting 4th. He's not feeling it right now. Move him down. And Sal Frelick, another guy who had that huge double to lead off an inning yesterday that Blake Perkins draws the walk right after. And then that bunt, man. Oh, that bunt. I got some heat from some of my Cudahy guys back over there. I said, I hate bunting. Welcome to my TED Talk. Thanks for coming. That's what it was.
That's fair.
And the tweets then came in saying, oh, well, I think I hate our two best players not getting big hits in the moment. Oh, I hate that we have an uncompetitive at-bat with a strikeout during that time. You know what you need in that situation, no matter what? You need a hit. You need a hit. Even if you bunt him over to third, you need a hit. You need something to get to the outfield. So I hate giving up that opportunity at a hit. And you know what? Joey Ortiz might have a better shot to get a bunt hit than he does having a swinging hit right now.
That's what it feels like, yeah.
So I understand that part of the argument, but that was a moment that I could have seen a pinch hitter coming in that moment. You need a hit regardless. You needed a hit there. They get no runs to come across in the inning. They lose 6-0 yesterday. Brewers now the series knotted up 2-2. If I'm looking at the lineup, and I don't want to be hypercritical of it because it doesn't matter all that much in my mind if everyone is just performing, I'd point to Bryce Terang should be moved down in this lineup. I think the top three has to be some configuration of Chourio, Yelich, Contreras, always. And I would rather see Andrew Vaughn move up from 5 to 4, quite frankly. I don't think Bryce Terang should be in the top 4 in the lineup, Charlie.
I don't think so either. You just look at what he's been able to do this postseason, and it hasn't been what he was doing the entire second half of the year for this Milwaukee Brewers team. And that's something that I think you have to be concerned about if you're Pat Murphy going into a game 5 here. I think at the same time, I think this is what Pat Murphy is kind of going off of. You don't want to mess with this guy and move him down in the order and worry that he's going to make mistakes in other parts of his game because he's feeling demoralized by being pushed down in a situation like this. I don't know if Bryce Terang is that type of guy. He's not exactly a very emotional guy, so it's something that I don't know if it would affect him in that way, but you have to at least be concerned about that a little bit as the manager of this team. I also think that a Sal Frelick moving up into this lineup, though, kind of creates some holes later on in the lineup a little bit. I don't know if it's as simple as just moving a Sal Frelick for a Bryce Terang, because I don't think you want to move Bryce Terang all the way down that far in the lineup. But if you move Sal Frelick out of the bottom of that lineup, I think it's kind of becomes all of a sudden you have Caleb Durbin, Blake Perkins, Joey Ortiz back to back at the bottom of that lineup. I don't really know if I like that as much. Sparky was talking about this idea of doing like a good hitter, bad hitter, good hitter, bad hitter at the bottom of the lineup. I don't know if I want that, but I do want somebody to kind of break it up a little bit between those three bad hitters.
I think there is something there where maybe Joey Ortiz should be batting 8th instead of 9th. And it's not because he's played well, at least his bat in this series. He did have a 2-hit day. One was the dribbler to third, and one barely got over the shortstop a couple of days ago as well. But it is just the ultimate rally killer right now at that number 9 spot, it feels like. And if you were to put someone in the 9 spot and treat it as a second leadoff hitter, ultimately, you still need Yelich and Chourio to pick up their slack too, Charlie. But I understand the logic of, man, Joey Ortiz is just not been it at the 9 spot. And the bunt yesterday, again, that really just, why? You were on Matthew Boyd finally. Couldn't throw a strike to Blake Perkins. Like, at least see a pitch before. No, I wasn't a fan of it. You need a hit no matter what. You need a hit, Charlie, in that moment.
What if it's Andrew Monasterio instead of Joey Ortiz in a game 5 situation like this?
Look, and I've heard you and Sparky talking about that a little bit on the show. And Sparky's like, oh, you can't take him out for his defense. You can't. His defense is so valuable right now. Have you seen some of the defense? Like, there's been nothing that's been like, Joey Ortiz makes that play and only Joey Ortiz throughout this series.
Well, and Andrew Monasterio, I know, isn't Joey Ortiz level, but he's honestly not that far behind. He's not going to be a detriment on defense there for you.
Yeah, and Joey Ortiz is not he's not a Gold Glover. I don't think he's a Gold Glover. I think he's a very good defensive
You
shortstop.
have multiple Gold Glovers on this team, and you can compare him to, and he's just not that.
He's not that. He's not Sal Frelick. We saw that play where he dove in right field. Made a nice catch over there in game 3, I believe it was. And I think you got to switch something up, right? And if Monasterio wants to be the guy to come in, I don't know if he makes that much of a difference, but he did have a couple of really good stretches this year for Milwaukee. September wasn't that kind to him, but August was phenomenal for Andrew Monasterio. There's got to be something, right? There has to be something to change it up, because you got to try something new over the last 2 days. I see we got a comment there in the dugout, Charlie. What do you got over there for us?
Jeff over in the dugout says, Tommy and Charlie, great show. I agree with your points on the Brewers. Would be go to the same lineup you had in game 1. I had no idea what he was doing. Yelich should never be leadoff. Amazing.
Yeah, that's another thing, right? Why mess up the mojo with Churio in the leadoff spot? I get it, the lefty versus righty matchup and whatever it is from there, right? First of all, Matthew Boyd might have been the first starting pitcher for the Cubs to go. How many times did a Cubs get out of the 3rd inning with their starting pitcher? Until Jameson Taillon went 4, it looks like right here, but he gave up 2 runs in that as well. The starting pitching has been so terrible for both teams until Matthew Boyd yesterday, it felt like. And Freddie did all right. Freddie did all right in game 1. I'll give him his credit. Didn't do great yesterday. But like Churio hit his 3-run homer off Danny Palencia on a 101-mile-an-hour fastball. That's a righty. That's not a lefty. So I also think that, Jeff, to your point, I would agree that I would love to just see Churio get as many at-bats as possible in the postseason. Kid's been unreal his 2 years
He's
now.
their best player right now.
He is absolutely the best player right now. Why not just get him some more ABs? And I think, again, if I were doing it, I think the second best hitter right now is, in my mind, Contreras. I just feel the most confidence in him when he comes up to the plate.
I would argue Andrew Vaughn.
Well, right, but you're just not going to bat Andrew Vaughn second.
No, but I think, honestly, with William Contreras, I know they've done it before. I'm not batting him second either. I want those 2 guys to be 3 and 4 like you're talking about. I think if you're going to go with a 2 and a guy you feel most confidence in 2, it's the guy you're batting 1 right now in Christian Yelich. He's the leader of this team. He's somebody who fits into that spot well. He's somebody that I think relates well with the Jackson Churio, especially when he's on base. He's able to have that type of connection. I think there's something there with that. I don't know. I think if you can't base this off of the person that you feel the most confidence with. I don't know. I just feel that way.
This was a fun one from Codify on Twitter. Great Twitter account. The Brewers have not stolen a base yet in the postseason. They went 4 games in a row without stealing a base, only once during the regular season, during this time as well. That's kind of their brand of baseball, Charlie. And I believe they led the National League. They were behind the Tampa Bay Rays. I know stole more bases than them for sure this year, but they were for sure top 3 in stolen bases in baseball. And I just feel that the Brewers need to live or die by their sword, right? Play the brand of baseball that you played throughout the regular season that led you to the best record in baseball. I have less confidence in game 5 than I did in game 3 and game 4 for this Milwaukee Brewers team, but I am not calling them dead. I do not think that this game is dead, and we will talk about reasons why later on in the show too, but you have to leave it all out there. And that one managerial move that proves that to me, you have to bring a lefty out in the first inning. You have to. And I think that it has to be Quintana. I like what he's done so far in his relief role, or what he did in the one appearance. I'm not throwing Priester out there again. I'm not throwing Ashby out there again. I would be open to an idea of maybe Jared Koenig starting the game. I'm not throwing Gasser out there to start it off. And by default, it feels like Quintana is that move for me, Charlie.
I think so. And I think just the veteranship of that means that he comes in and has the best mentality going into that situation. Again, I think you do see Jacob Mizorowski pretty early in this game, probably 4th inning. If Jose Quintana can go 3 clean, you see a Jacob Mizorowski. But to what you're saying, I think that does make sense. From the Cubs' point of view here, I don't know if Craig Counsell wants to change his lineup at this point. You've got to leave Michael Busch at the top of that line, no matter who's coming out to pitch for the Brewers. You just have to.
Why wouldn't you, right? Let's play this chess match. That's my move to your move. Mr. Murphy. Want to hit up the Potawatomi Sportsbook before a postseason game, but need a ride to the game? Hit two balls with one bat by hitching a ride on a Potawatomi game day shuttle. Make any purchase in Sportsbook or same-day sports bet to get a wristband and a seat on the shuttle. Shuttle begins approximately 2 hours before first pitch. Return shuttles run nonstop for 1 hour after the game. For more, visit Potawatomi.com. Bet above the rest. Those shuttles, by the way, they're going to do them for Bucks season this year, I've heard as well. Austin Herdina will join us in the last segment of the show at 4:40 today. We can talk all about it over there. He is the sportsbook manager over at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I believe the last one, when they started, Charlie, when they first had it, I think they had like 60 people use it. And this last time they had 350 people use their shuttle service. Wow. They have multiple buses, however, so don't hear that and think, oh, I can't do that. That's way too many people. They have like 4 buses going all the time. It's very quick, efficient, and seriously, go place a $5 bet that you're feeling good on. You can get paid to get a ride pretty much via the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We talked enough Brewers for right now. We'll get back to them, of course. A lot of Game 5 stuff to talk about. I don't want to talk about Game 4. There's nothing to talk about from Game 4. The Brewers stunk. They stunk the whole time. Let's get into Confident, Concerned, and Curious, a segment they do every Friday here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, talking about the Cincinnati Bengals and the Green Bay Packers. Are there concerns? Are we concerned about anything? I don't know. We'll see. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM 105.7 FM The Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Not Steve Sparky Pfeiffer here with you. Tommy Wortz in for Mr. Spark, along with Big Chuck, Charlie Uczen over on the other side over there. My goal is for one text from Sparky to be like, what the hell was that song you just played?
That song was awesome, is
Dude,
what it was.
Beach Bunny, Cloud9. No shot
nuts.
he knows who Beach Bunny is. Not going to happen. But if I can successfully have a song getting played where Sparky doesn't know a single one of them and he sends me one text on who the hell was that, I have done my job here in the fill-in role for Mr. Pfeiffer. We're done with the Brewers for right now. We'll be back. Don't worry. But we got to give the Packers some love, right? And the Brewers have been in this awesome NLDS, or maybe not so awesome NLDS now for the last week. And the Green Bay Packers were on a bye at the perfect time, too. Now they are back in action, 3:25, going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. I will be hosting the Green Bay football postgame show with Mitch Thunder Nellis because Mr. Pfeiffer is going to the game. He will be there in attendance to watch the Bengals and Packers. Confident, concerned, and curious, a segment they do here on Wisconsin Sports Daily every Friday in regards to the Green Bay Packers game over the weekend. And we'll ask you something that you are confident, concerned, or curious about for the Green Bay Packers heading into this game against the Bengals. Nicolay Law fan talking text line 414-677-1250 is the number to join the program. Mr. Uczen, would you like to kick us off? Do we always start with confident? Is that where we start?
Always start with confident.
What is something you are very confident in for the Green Bay Packers this week?
I think something I'm very confident about this week with the Green Bay Packers is coming off that bye week. They are going to look like the same exact defense we saw in the first couple weeks with this Green Bay Packers team. They're going to be refreshed. They're going to be rejuvenated, not going up against as much of a high-powered offense as we've seen with like the Dallas Cowboys here.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to get beat down as much on offense by the Bengals defense as they did by the Browns. The offense for the Packers should hopefully get the ball moving a little bit more, take a little more time off that field. And I think we should see a lot of progress from not only the other guys on that defensive front that we were hoping to see some progress from, the Lucas Van Nesses and those types of players, but also the defensive tackle room without a Devontae Wyatt out there. I think this is going to look like a really good defense, and we're going to stop worrying as much about Devontae Wyatt being hurt as we were last week when we realized he was going to be out for a while.
All right, so you're going defense for your confidence. You're going defense. I'll go offense.
All
right. The Cincinnati Bengals, while their quarterback play, because of the absence of Joe Burrow, has taken on a lot of their headlines to their start of the 2025 season. I guess it's already October 10th. Like, oh my gosh, like what happened?
I'm gonna be like 50 next week.
Right?
It feels like.
Yes. I'm confident that the Cincinnati Bengals defense still stinks and is not very good, quite frankly. And specifically, I'm going to go to the run game. I'm confident that this will be Josh Jacobs' best game of the season so far. And I feel like every week we're kind of waiting for that. Josh, where are you? What's happening? You were the leader last year. Come on. Let's get a big game out of Josh. Josh Jacobs' game logs this year, 66 yards, 84 yards, 30 yards, 86 yards. Those are his first 4 games of the season. He has yet to average over 3.9 yards per carry, and he does not have a run longer than 19 yards this season. I am confident that Josh Jacobs will crack over 4 yards a rush, and it will be more than 86 yards. This will be his best game of the year. I expect the Packers to have a lead early in the game. I expect the run game going to have to play some sort of role down the stretch to get them to the end of this one. That is where I go as far as my confidence for the Green Bay Packers.
So then off of that, do you feel like this is going to be the best week for the Packers offensive line as well?
I think that they are going to be healthy at the offensive line for the first time in a while. Now, it sounds like Rasheed Walker, as far as the last update we got, he was not quite practicing. He was limited in his the week of practice. But it sounds like Aaron Banks and Zach Tom both were available per the last from Ryan Wood. So, yeah, I think by default, I thought the offensive line looked fantastic the first 2 weeks, but it was because of the pass blocking during that time. I do think this is the week they have to get something going. The Bengals are 24th in run defense. They're 30th in total defense as far as yards go. I think they have to prove something against Cincinnati, and I'm confident that that's a part of the game plan.
All right, Tommy, what are you concerned about then
Concerned.
with this Green Bay Packers team?
Concerned. You might have heard it a little bit earlier on the Mason Crosby show. Brandon Snide, Mitch Thunder Nellis on that show presented by Verizon, official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. Concerned they're not going to cover the spread. The spread was 14.5 as of yesterday. That's just a massive spread in the NFL. And so this is a bad team that will now have Joe Flacco instead of Jake Browning at the helm. And I think that Flacco's probably got a couple of secrets already that he's sharing with Cincinnati, as the Cleveland Browns, Joe Flacco was at the helm of that, came out victorious in that game against Green Bay. And I think that the spread is a little too big for an NFL game. It feels like every time there's a spread of 2 touchdowns, 15, 17, whatever it is, it never gets covered. I think the game is going to be closer than the odds makers say it is. That's where I am concerned. I don't know if they cover the spread.
With this Green Bay Packers team, I don't really know if I'm concerned about them covering the spread. I think there are going to be a lot of points scored in this. I think I'm with you. I think the run game is going to take a next step with this team. And I think because of that, I'm concerned that Jordan Love isn't going to look as good as we saw the last time we saw him play against the Dallas Cowboys defense that clearly is not a very good defense, but he torched them. And it felt like that this Packers team, yes, they enjoyed what they saw from Jordan Love and they enjoyed what they saw from that passing offense, but it doesn't feel like at all from what we've heard from Matt LaFleur since that point that that's something they really are going to keep working on and keep pushing towards. And that if you do go back towards a run-first offense with the Josh Jacobs, and that does beat a team like the Cincinnati Bengals, yeah, you're going to be happy about that. But then all of a sudden, are you back in the same spot you were at the beginning of the season where, yes, you can win a few games that way, but when teams are ready for that, you have nothing on offense. I don't think you want to get back to that point. I'm concerned that by taking a step back or by going back towards a Josh Jacobs run first offense, that you're taking away from that confidence you've put into a Jordan Love and this pressure that you put him through in the last couple of games here, that he's been able to step up and figure out, even though he's made some mistakes, to take that away from him could be an issue.
It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Tommy Wortz, Charlie Uczen in for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. Confident, concerned, curious. Packers, Bengals. We have given our confidence. We have given our concerns. Now the curiosity will roam. I am going to go to the defensive side for my curious. And I am curious. Keyshawn Nixon is where I am curious this week because, quite frankly, he's probably one of my biggest surprises for me this season. As far as him talking all last year, I want to be CB1. I don't care about anything else. Cornerback 1. I don't want to be a kick returner. I don't want to be a punt returner. I want to be CB1. And I think through 4 games, he's played phenomenal. I think he's looked really good. He had the 5 pass breakups against Washington. Don't really see, he had the really rough play in Dallas where he didn't come back for the ball. But I will say this. I am very curious to see what he can do against Jamar Chase. Now, Jamar Chase has had a couple of games this year where he's gone over 100 yards, 110 his last game against Detroit. He had 165 against Jacksonville. However, he had 23 yards against Denver. He had 50 yards against Minnesota. He had 26 yards against Cleveland. If you want to be CB1, what better way to put your name on the map than you are the guy clamping up Jamar Chase or clamping up T. Higgins, wherever you are. I am curious to see how Keyshawn Nixon reacts to a very good wide receiver room in the Cincinnati Bengals.
Are you going to be disappointed if he doesn't play well?
Yes. Okay. Yes, I will. I believe that this is an opportunity for Keyshawn Nixon, but I am curious as to see where that step is. Because I think that if he gets torched by Jamar Chase, then it returns to, okay, he's like a serviceable corner. I don't know if he's CB1, right? And Jair Alexander, has he even played for the Ravens this year?
Not that I know.
He's on the injury report every week in Baltimore, and their team is a dumpster fire right now as well. But I'm curious that if Keyshawn Nixon does it against Jamar Chase, like at what point are we all now in this conversation of, hey, is Keyshawn Nixon CB1? Is he ready to play that number one corner position? Because he's looked pretty damn good in the first 4 games for Green Bay. Here's your biggest test now and one of the best receivers in the league. You're curious, Charlie.
My curious is, where will we see Jordan Morgan playing first in this game? Zach Tom is, for right now, says he feels like he's able to exert himself and that he's ready to go for Sunday, that he's feeling good about playing Sunday. You mentioned before Rasheed Walker is practicing in a limited capacity right now. Seems like he's probably going to be out there on Sunday, but that could be a limited spot. Aaron Banks is going to be out there, but it feels like he's Jair Alexander prone. It's just going to end up on the injury report sometime, some way. And then Elgton Jenkins and Sean Ryan are going to be your mainstays out there just playing their thing. But Anthony Belton is not potentially going to play in this game. He hasn't practiced all week. He's not practicing today, which is not a good sign for that. Which means Jordan Morgan's basically going to be the backup offensive lineman at all 5 positions, essentially here. And if that's the case, and with so many guys injured or semi-injured on this offensive line, where does Jordan Morgan fit in first? And if he fits in somewhere first, what is going to be the performance of a Jordan Morgan in a situation where he has to once again be a fill-in guy versus a starter?
Man, I really wanted to come on for these 3 hours and not, freak out like Sparky does. Okay. I just wanted to, he yells a lot more than I like to yell. I get after it sometimes, but Sparky's ready to yell 9 segments a day.
Time.
Like he's just ready to yell. I'll refrain from that, and I'll say this: I'm over Jordan Morgan. I think I'm already over it. I think I maybe I'll come back, egg on my face on like, oh, you were wrong. He's awesome. I don't see it. The left tackle spot is, I guess, if he does start there, maybe I'm curious. But everyone's like, oh, he's a left tackle. That's why he's not been performing. He's a left tackle. Like the whole reason he got drafted is because of his versatility. He can play anywhere, right? He's might as well throw him at guard, throw him at right tackle, hell, wherever he wants to play. And now it's like, oh, the most important offensive line position in the left tackle, and we're going to throw this guy who hasn't looked good at any of the spots, it feels like, and let's have him go over there. If I'm the Bengals, Trey Hendrickson following Jordan Morgan. Wherever he is, just go ahead, follow Jordan Morgan. If they move him to guard, all right, Hendrickson, get in the 3-tech. There you go. Just eat his lunch all day if I'm the Bengals. But if he proves me wrong, all right, now I'm curious. I think I'm a week away from curious on Jordan Morgan. That's where I feel. He could change me, but I feel like I'm in the leaning of the boat of, I hate it. I just don't like the move.
Do you have more faith in Marshawn Lloyd than a Jordan Morgan at this point?
Yeah, Marshawn Lloyd might as well be the Packers cornerback 1 the last 4 years. That's how much he's playing. It feels it's even less, actually.
Right.
I have no curiosity with him anymore until you give me some ability to. I saw you make one awesome catch in preseason. That's what I saw.
I've seen a lot of players make awesome catches.
Right.
Colin Johnson made a couple awesome catches this past preseason. Where's he right now?
Julian Hicks. He was great. Looked awesome in preseason. No, I'm a week away from curious on Morgan. I'm in the boat of probably concerned more of him than I am towards curious. And Marshawn Lloyd, don't even bring up that name to me ever again. I want to tell you about Wendy's. If you love Wendy's classic chocolate and vanilla Frosty flavors, there's some big news. There are all new Frosty Swirls and now Frosty Fusions. These things are game changers, Charlie. The Frosty Fusions, game changers right now. What's your favorite one?
The strawberry Pop-Tart, vanilla ice cream, strawberry shortcake. Say it every time.
The caramel crunch one that that thing is just awesome. It's the same creamy treat you've had and always loved, now with a flavor refresh. So what are those new flavors? Okay, we've got the Frosty Swirls, strawberry, brownie batter, and caramel, and the Frosty Fusions, Oreo brownie, caramel crunch, Pop-Tart, strawberry. So clock in for a sweet treat time with Wendy's. All new Frosty flavors, a refresh on a classic. It's got to be Wendy's. I will say this, I'll never do a Wendy's read as good as Sparky does them. Like, that's his element, man. Every time he's on here, you can just see him. I've seen him do a couple of the shoulders going when he gets it. But the Frosty Fusions, like, I don't know why you would go anywhere else if you want ice cream. That machine's always working at Wendy's. It's
Damn
awesome.
straight, yeah.
So good. Let's get back into some Brewer talk on the other side. Want to talk about home field advantage. How important has home field advantage been in the NLDS so far, and how much do you think it could impact Game 5? That'll be coming up on the other side. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Tommy Wortz, Charlie Uczen here with you. Let's get to some Brewers talk right after this. Welcome back, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Tommy Wortz, Charlie Uczen in for Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. Charlie's always here. I'm never here. I'm here. I'm just not on the. I'm always here. I'm never in this position from 2 to 5. Sparky on his way up to Green Bay, going to be at the game this weekend. We talked a little Packers, confident, concerned, curious, the last segment. And we're going to go back to the Milwaukee Brewers before we get on with our guy, Javon Alford over at Dairyland Express to get back into some Packers conversation. However, this one comes back to the Brewers in Game 5. And when you look at what happened in Games 1 through 2, and you look at what happens in Games 3 through 4, how much of an impact has home field advantage had on the NLDS so far? How much will it impact it in Game 5? That is the question. Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250 if you want to be a part of the program to give your take on home field advantage in the NLDS for the time being. Want to get over to the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line. When we had our first question of the day, Brewers losing in the NLDS, what is one managerial move you would have for Game 5? Someone said somehow get Vaughn and Bowers in the same lineup, which I think if a righty was the starting pitcher, maybe that could be something that could be discussed. I don't know how you would do it. I think it's all based on Christian Yelich not really being able to play the outfield right now, and Jackson Churio also not really being able to play center field. That's going to be harder than it seems because I love Jake Bowers. I'm not putting him in the outfield. I'm just not doing that.
You're not sticking him in center field?
No. If you asked him, he would do it. He's that 100%. Type of guy. But I don't know if
dogging him, yeah.
I don't know if it would end well for Milwaukee. However, home field advantage. I will say this, Charles. It was way bigger of a deal for the Cubs than it was for the Brewers, it felt like. I went to Game 1. It was awesome. It was electric. They got the crowd into it right away because of how awesome the first inning was. And even I will say the first inning that we saw Andrew Vaughn in Game 2 hit the homer to tie it, make it 3-3, another huge uplifting moment, and the crowd was kept into it. But I look at yesterday and those chants, Freddie, like I've never seen the Brewers fans do something like that. Like, could you imagine Matthew? Just wouldn't hit the same. It wouldn't hit the same. And when I point to home field advantage, I do think it's played a massive role in this series right now. And it needs to play an impact in Game 5, Charlie, in my mind.
I think so. Brewers fans have to show out like they did in the first couple games of this series. You have to be there for this team because you say it doesn't impact them as much. I think the lack of the fans, that void of the Brewers fans in Chicago really impacted the Brewers. And yes, maybe not having an entire stadium behind them really changes their game all that much, but I think it gets them to that point where they are just playing a carefree style of baseball. When Andrew Vaughn hit that 3-run home run, he was running around the bases with his tongue out, celebrating. Yeah. When have you ever seen Andrew Vaughn do that? It's because of the environment. It's because he's feeling free with his team, and it just did not feel like that in this last couple of games. Thunder on Mason Crosby's show earlier today was just kept talking about how it made him feel like his softball team that he coaches, his 12 to 13-year-olds, when they just don't want to be on the field. And I would tend to agree with him. It did kind of feel like the Brewers just didn't have the same kind of energy we've seen from them in that first couple of games. Even the third game, halfway through that, still felt like they were energized in that game. Didn't feel like they were in it as much. And part of that is the fan base that's there.
I want to see this crowd go insane the entire game. And you know what really benefits and how that could help it is a clean first inning. Mm-hmm. The first inning is just the Brewers' Achilles heel right now. We saw it yesterday. We've seen it in every game. They give a homer in every game of the first inning so far. You want to take a crowd out of the game right away? Do that. Like that's a great idea.
If Michael Busch is starting this game, do you just walk him?
No, no. You pitch a lefty. First inning has to be a lefty. It has to. And that's why I lean Quintana. And I believe I could be convinced of someone else, but only if it's Jared Koenig. They're not using him in the 7th or 8th inning anyway at this point. So why not throw him in inning 1? Get an inning at the beginning. If you want to use Priester.
It would throw him off.
Yes.
The Cubs would not be prepared for Jared Koenig to walk out onto that mound.
I think it has to. It has to be a lefty. You cannot pitch a righty in inning one. It didn't work great with Aaron Ashby. I get that. He also hung a changeup to Seiya. Like, it was at his eyes. And it was like, all right, see ya. That'll be 3 runs. Thank you. But I believe the first inning is just so massive right now that the Brewers have to get through it without allowing a run at this point, let alone, I mean, maybe it would even take like an error to give them a run before I would take a homer at this point. You can't give up a first inning homer in 5 straight games and win the series. I would bet that would be the first time that happens. If you gave up a homer again and you still won the series, that a team would give up a home run in 5 straight first innings and still win the series. I don't believe that would be the first time.
And then you go on to win this series. The next series, you have Shohei Ohtani leading off for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Good? Is he good?
He's pretty solid.
Yeah,
Tommy.
yeah, he's all right. Is he also left-handed? Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're gonna have some trouble. Mm-hmm.
You can't. The home field advantage has been massive, in my opinion, over these 4 games, and it really felt necessary with the Cubs more than it did for the Brewers. I don't know. I'm worried about it. Nikolay Law fan talking text line 414-677-1250. Carrie from Tosa. It's going viral that the Brewers fans should start chants the Cubs pitchers' names tomorrow. Not sure I want to stoop to that level, but I will scream with all I have. Well, yeah, please do that at least. Just imagine Shota. No, Shotty's pitching.
Hit.
No, doesn't hit the same.
Doesn't hit.
That's going to do it for the first hour here. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. We'll get to our guy, Javon Alford, Dairyland Express on the other side. He's writing for the Green Bay Packers as well. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Let's get to the next hour.